She is power. She is love. She is hope. She inspires. She is many journeys in one lifetime. She is the people, an individual, a never-ending story of the beauty of possibility.
I nearly didn't get into medical school, I put it that way. I got rejected from a couple of medical schools.
I was a treasury officer, went through the ranks in treasury.
You find the whole reverend thing geared towards the male.
So I had to learn now how to find my voice. I think the other thing for me would be hard work and continuous self-improvement.
My faith is everything.
Be a part of She Inspires this and every Wednesday on the I Am Drive on Sunny 88.7 FM, 8:30 a.m. and live on Facebook same time. Also join in on Sunny TV every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. She Inspires is proudly brought to you by She Inspires.
Earlier in this month of October, Ghana woke up to the news that a brilliant young lawyer had been triple barred. UK, USA, and right here in Ghana. Well, I'm excited to let you know that she's my guest on She Inspires today. She is a consultant with the International Criminal Court and a law lecturer at UPSA. And she's my guest on She Inspires. Thank you all for joining me on She Inspires. I am JJD. Thank you to all of our sponsors who make it possible for us to bring you She Inspires. Glassell Company Limited, Duffy's Health and Beauty, Hotel Kasureri, Mianan Foods, Ajile Jewelry, Royal Peaches Glam, Saraban Clothing, and Lunch Avenue. Christine, it's so great to have you and She Inspires, and congratulations on being triple barred. How does it feel?
The love has been overwhelming, and I really didn't expect that it would go that viral.
Because it was a simple post you put up celebrating this great achievement, and then you were trending.
Yes.
Each time I scrolled, you were trending.
So it actually took me by surprise, but yeah, I'm grateful for all the love that I've received. Yes.
But what's been the reaction from your nuclear family?
Well, they are really proud, and they really are the unsung heroes, really. If anybody should get the credit. So, yeah.
You are an alumni of KNUST. You studied land economy. So at which point did law come in for you?
So law has always been in the picture.
Oh.
I mean, my parents will tell you that from childhood, some of the traits I used to exhibit, they knew that I'd move on to do a career along the lines of law, probably even journalism.
Oh.
And so it was always my plan to do that as a first degree.
Okay.
But then my dad, at the time I was going to KNUST, he had just become a first degree. Law was then a second degree.
Okay.
So I took my dad's advice, really, and he thought that you needed a first degree for your mind to open up, as he put it. And so studying land economy was really my dad's advice, and I don't regret doing that because eventually it was consequential to my journey.
Let's talk about, it's interesting you're bringing your parents. Would you say they've been influential in who you have become, the woman we see today?
Yes, certainly. I think that really at a tender age, the kind of environment that a child finds themselves in does really influence what their perception of the world, what they see as possible, what they see as impossible. And my parents, from a tender age, have always made me know that everything was within reach, and never making the fact that I was feminine, the fact that I was black, ever seem as a barrier. And in terms of resources, in terms of pushing me, they're my strongest support system, really.
You ventured into an area which some describe as hard. So people say law is hard, you know. I've had to quit my job so I can fully study law. Some say, you know, I've written this paper the first time, I didn't pass, I've written a second time, I've written it a third time, then I wrote it a fourth time. Some say, you know what, I did it once, twice, I'm not doing this anymore. Some also talk about financial difficulties make it hard for them to study law. For you, I mean, at the time you ventured into law, have you ever had to go through any of these challenges that people talk about? Did you ever think law was hard?
Yes. You'd be crazy not to think that. But for me, it's the tag. I like not to tag things as, I would say, challenging.
Challenging.
But the moment you tag it as too difficult or hard, it probably sort of affects your approach to it. So characteristic along my journey is a lot of things you talk about. It is not an easy area at all, but I think what I kept at the back of my mind is that if somebody has been able to do it, then it is possible. And so whatever you see, you just see it as obstacles and you try to overcome them. And I think that my journey is characterized a lot by having this resilient spirit, just really pushing on and being determined that come what may, this is where I want to see myself. And so the hard work it requires, the commitment it requires, the determination it requires, I've tried to put that in. And yes, I'm really that. And just sort of every day overcoming the obstacles, really.
So when you started on this journey, law, were there some people you looked up to who kept you motivated?
So I've always talked about Kofi Annan. At a tender age, I always said, he's Ghanaian and he's done it. He's achieved quite important things. And I always said, those who are very close to me, I always say that I'll be the next UN Secretary General. It's something I used to, but he made me know what was possible. And so I've kept that really at the back of my mind in my pursuit of whatever I set my mind to do.
So Christine, I mean, it's been 5 years of you doing this, and this is no mean achievement. Was it a smooth sail for you each of the time? I mean, New York, UK, Ghana, was it all smooth for you?
No, it isn't. But before I answer your question, I'd like to correct the fact that I achieved it in 5 years.
Okay.
I think that it makes for a good caption.
It does, because we've seen that in the headlines.
Yes, but I started as far back as 2012. That's my legal journey. And I did a master's in law. I've gone on then to do a 2-year law degree. Gone on to qualify as a barrister. That took another year, so we're already in 4 years.
Okay.
Afterwards, I practiced a bit. And then I did the New York Bar 2020 and Ghana Bar 2021. So it's almost a decade.
It's been almost a decade. So the 5 years caption we're seeing, it's been a lot more than 5 years you've been working on this.
Yeah.
So walk us through the journey. I mean, almost a decade of doing this. I want to know, what are some of the challenges you experienced? How did you sail through them? Was there ever a time you felt you had to choose between doing law and maybe working? Take us through those periods, if you had those periods.
I started my legal journey abroad. And so obviously the challenges of going into a new environment, the way they study, the way that they understand things. I remember my first essay, I got a 58. And I didn't know how to explain it to my dad in Ghanaian language, how that was a good grade, because I was used to getting good scores. And so even that, from the start, it made me question, there's this kind of imposter syndrome, where you feel like you don't belong.
Okay.
And it made me question whether I was really cut out for it.
Oh, at a point you did?
Yes, yes. But what I would say that what it helped me realize was that I needed a lot in my arsenal. And I always looked for feedback to improve on places that I was not great. So, I mean, I used to think I was really good with my English, but I studied law and they kept saying, oh, your grammar has to improve.
Oh.
So what do? I look for workshops, try to get my grammar right. Anywhere I can pick skills up, I did that.
So you're constantly developing yourself as you received feedback?
Yes, constantly developing myself. I never got comfortable because I think an uncle explained it to me that I was on a journey that had already started because the people that had come to meet, they were already schooled in the system and knew the way it worked. And so I had to work twice as hard. And so I sacrificed a lot of my vacations doing like internships, volunteering work. I remember when I did my 2-year law degree, I was working part-time as well.
You were?
Yes, working in supermarkets in the university. And sometimes I would serve my course mates.
You would?
Yes, and the lecture was in another hour, and I would rush to go and change and come back to lectures. And so it's been fraught with a lot of challenges. There are times, I mean, when I started, I was just going to get a master's degree and come back to do a law degree in Ghana. Mm-hmm. But then opportunities opened up, which meant I stayed on longer. And it wasn't something my parents had prepared for in advance. So
what are some of these opportunities that came your way?
So I got a scholarship when I finished my law degree. I finished the first class.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so it was consequential in getting a Dean's Excellence Award, which the University of Nottingham gave to me. And that catered for part of my tuition fee. And that really helped. in terms of, and I got parental scholarship. My parents
Thank God for the
sponsored me,
parents.
and so these were opportunities that would come my way eventually that sort of also helped me along the way. And so financially there have been challenges, but I've worked, like I say, obstacles. I've worked through each and every one of them, and I'm glad that I made it.
And we're happy to see you made it. You know, you talked about failure being a part of the process. And I particularly wanted to ask you, was there ever a particular point where you experienced this yourself, which is why you'd encourage others by saying, you know what, see failure as only a part of the process?
Too many times.
Too many?
Too many times, but I can remember one significant one. When I was done with my law degree, I had to then go on to do what they
Law
call,
degree in
the UK.
In the UK.
I had to go on to do what they call the bar professional training course to be a barrister. And before that, you'd have to do a series of competence exams, really to know whether you're cut out for the law. So if you did pass it, you then went on. If you didn't, you probably would look for another career path. And I was to write IELTS. I thought it was ridiculous at the time because I'd done my master's and my law degree in English, but the requirement was that if you were international, you had to do IELTS and you had to score a particular score in all the 4 areas. And I failed the speaking part.
You did?
Yes, I did. And it was quite significant for me because I was wondering, like, I speak English and I think I speak good English.
You're born speaking English.
Yeah. And it almost deterred me from doing the law. But then I came back again and wrote it again and then passed subsequently. So I really think that what deters most people is the fear of failure.
The fear of failure.
And I always have it at the back of my mind concerning any opportunity that comes up or anything that I want to pursue, that the worst that could happen is that they'll say no. So don't be afraid to try, because if you don't try, you don't know what is at the other end of you trying. And for me, my journey is characterized a lot by opportunities that, I mean, people would say that don't bother applying for this, don't bother doing this, Christine. When it came to securing pupillage, they said, don't bother applying for pupillage. There's no way you'd get it as an international student, but I always said, well, let me try. And in trying, I've experienced successes in places I've not even fathomed. Yeah.
And each time were the moments when you just go on your knees and go like, Lord, thank you. They said I couldn't do this, but here I just chalked this. I just got this.
Yeah, so many times. So many times I feel like certain things were just miracles for me. I'll tell you about pupillage. So the reality is that it's difficult.
It is.
You don't erase the place of reality, but I did try. And I will tell you that it wasn't until I'd gone through all the processes and they gave me an offer and they found out that I was actually an international student. And so then even how I got the funding to then remain a pupil was another miracle altogether.
Wow.
But that's the ways in which God has moved for me, yes.
Christine, you mentioned practicing law in UK for about 2 years, and you prosecuted some cases. You want to throw some light on some of these cases you prosecuted?
Okay, so I mainly worked as a criminal prosecutor with the state, and so I had a diet of from low-level theft to domestic abuse, to sexual offences, to dishonest offences, so everything really, the whole array of cases I've had experience. I used to go to court 4 or 5 times a week, and sometimes I had 5 trials a day. That was
5 trials a day?
Yeah, that was how on the clock I was.
So when you had like 5 trials in one day, what time were you getting back home?
I was getting back home at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And but within the time that you would work. And I think that these harnessed a lot of skills in me as well.
What are some of these skills? Can you share them with us?
So it helped my advocacy skills, thinking on my feet, working under time pressure as well, and just really being dedicated and working hard day in, day out, really, yes.
So Christine, you've experienced studying law in UK, in the US, and then Ghana as well. What would you say are some of the things we can do as a country to better improve and encourage more people to take up law and to actually finish when they start?
Okay, first of all, let me just say that having experienced law in different jurisdictions, all of them come with challenges. And I wouldn't claim to know too much about the Ghana legal system, but what I would say from my experience so far, I feel that we should open up legal education. In my experience, most people tend to come on to do law as a second degree or after having actually started a career. And we should make it easier to sort of transit from one career to another. Because if we're going to go by the stringent rules that you have to go back and do a 3-year law degree and go through, let's say, Makula, and whilst working or having to leave your job, I mean, it gets to a point that these things are not luxuries anymore, that you don't have the luxury that you wouldn't be without a job to study. So I think that we should look at it from that side and look at ways in opening up the legal profession, even in terms of career.
Delve more into that for us, because we mostly know that, okay, somebody's studying law, they're most likely going to be a lawyer, but you probably have seen much more. Can you share that with us when you talk about opening up and the other profession and career one can go into studying law, particularly for any young person listening to us who's trying to venture into this area?
Yes, because I would say that law is a good degree to have. Not everybody that studies law has to go on to be a lawyer. Because in the UK, they have paralegaling, where you go on to be a paralegal, or some go on to become a company secretary, or some would just go on to be a legal person with a specialization in maybe international criminal justice issues. And so we should open it up so that people would see other avenues they can go into, so that it's worthwhile. But then if it's all skewed at becoming a lawyer, which seems as being, they say that it's choked, but then all across, looking at our population and looking across the regions, you would know that we need more lawyers.
We need more lawyers.
So it's important that we make it accessible, and we make it in such a way that people that have already started can move on and still pursue law and still become relevant and help our country.
This is She Inspires with Mrs. Christine Opoku-Onyinah, who is a consultant with the International Criminal Court and a law lecturer at UPSA. I am J.Danquah. This is She Inspires. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more.
Me broni, na den na wanu me drama na che wa no pe wa nom okọ. Me so ya no pe bia, ansana me ko me nyuma so no. Me nya de pe bi. Let me share it with you. That feats Ohima feminine mixture. Eye me secret ba ko pa aboa me. Bo so me bia, me menses e bakama. Abra menti ya obia. E flow mami. Me wo ye chi no. Na me menses no e ma ye. Me sha ase anom that feats Ohima feminine mixture no. E bankasa with no pain. So that feats Ohima feminine mixture. The best yes you.
Open did witwa Duffy's Health and Beauty ewo East Legon American House Kumasen so ye Bank Tech Hospital enye mapem for Sankratwe FDA ahwehwe mu agye atum se eye.
This is She Inspires with Mrs. Christine Opoku-Onyinah, who is a consultant with the International Criminal Court and a law lecturer at UPSA. Christine, once again, thank you for being on She Inspires. And a few people I told, we're going to be having Christine on She Inspires, and they say, whoa, for those who know you, she's a hard worker. Hard work has paid off, and it was all hard work people would use to describe you. How would you say this has helped you achieving your goals?
I think that you study law and you appreciate that you have to work hard.
You have to work hard.
And so hard work has really played a role, and that comes with making a lot of sacrifices.
What are some sacrifices you've had to
So
really
obviously,
make?
sometimes you sacrifice a lot, you know. These achievements have been back on back. After a master's, you do a law degree, you do the bar, and it almost seems insurmountable. And so it's just keeping at it, you know, with no breaks. And let me just give an example as well. At the time that I started the Ghana bar, I was just lecturing at UPSA.
Okay, it started lecturing.
Yeah, I started lecturing. And then 1 month into it, I got an opportunity to work in the International Criminal Court. And I wouldn't let that opportunity go. So I had to add that on. And so I was working 2 full-time jobs and doing the bar with a start time for 7 a.m. end time 6 p.m.
Doing a full-time job?
Doing a full-time job, 2 full-time jobs actually. And so that meant that in the nighttime, I had to make up my hours.
While people were sleeping,
yes,
you were up.
Yes.
Working.
So definitely, there's a lot of hard work. Now it seems like it wasn't any hard work at all, but looking back, I know how much it took from me. And that meant that you need to sort of pull yourself from people, sort of just keep a low profile whilst you sort of try to achieve some of these things. And so the place of hard work, probably somebody may be watching and thinking, oh, you've just had it easy all along, but no matter how easy, even if you had all the resources and opportunities, you cannot displace the place of hard work in anything that is worth achieving. Yes.
You cannot displace a place of hard work. Let's talk about your work with ICC. It's a place people aspire to be, to work at, and you're a consultant with International Criminal Court. What's been the experience like?
It's been an amazing experience.
I mean, when you got the offer, can you tell me how you felt? I mean, what was the mood like?
So
had you been looking forward to it?
Yes, definitely. And it actually came at a point. It was one of those opportunities. I say that go for it, even if you think that it's impossible.
Okay.
So whilst working as a criminal barrister in the UK, I'd always fancied a career in international law, which is what I did my master's in. So I started applying really. And there were so many rejections, but I keep at it. The moment there's a rejection, I put in another one. And so I remember that I'd come to Ghana and I got an email that said that, oh, we see that you tried to apply for something on our website, but you didn't finish.
Oh.
So do you want to go back and complete your application? And I remember telling my...
And that was after how many tries when you got that call? Can you remember?
I can't even count it. It's been countless. And I remember telling my family that this has got to be a joke. This is a very important institution, and I'm sure they have so many applications. They wouldn't go after one person who didn't complete their application. But then I did it, and eventually it ended up in an offer of an internship. It started out as an internship, and that I had to fund myself. But then, having done that, eventually I got an offer to be a legal consultant. And I think it's one of the most amazing experiences I've had, especially with the importance of the work that we do and the impact it has globally. And for me as a lawyer, having the opportunity to work on complex cases and developing my skills as well, I think that it's been an amazing opportunity.
It has. And I know one of the ways you like to give back to your community is by speaking at public engagements, and you're speaking on professional and career development. How would you say professional and career development are important ties to achieving one's goals?
I would say that they're important because when you decide to embark on anything, you should have as much arsenal in your armor as you can marshal. And more so because we live in an ever-evolving society, and where things are changing, IT is becoming very important. I mean, with the challenge that COVID presented us. So as a career professional, be prepared for opportunity. And you never have to let opportunity come and meet you unprepared. So whatever it is that needs to be done in your field, if it means that you have to get an extra, so far as the resources and the circumstances allow you, definitely seek to ever develop yourself so that you're relevant. And so it's important, and we should never underplay it. Yes.
Never let opportunity come meet you unprepared. That will stay with me for a very long time. Let's talk about your love for mentoring. I mean, you serve as a coach with a special focus on young women. Why that special focus on young women, Christine?
So I hope I can mentor everybody. At least it's good that I inspire a lot of people and not just women. But I particularly love young women because I feel that yet still we still have limitations on women in the society. We're still not in the days where it is said that the place of the woman is the kitchen, but unfortunately there's still silent limitations, and people tell you as far as you can reach. And it's been something on my journey where people kept saying, oh, but you're a woman, you need to stop and think of this, you need to...
And this did not even come from your nuclear family. Your nuclear family pushed you all out to say you can do this, but external...
But people keep, the moment they hear of another opportunity, now I'm married, so it's not a big deal, but it used to be a big deal that when are you going to stop and marry? When are you going to stop and have children?
How did you take those comments coming through?
I mean, for me, I've never felt that being a woman should be a limitation, and I kind of appreciate my journey and sort of appreciate everybody's journey is different and things happen for people differently. So I'm not one to sit back waiting for certain things to happen. I think whilst you wait for them to happen, still go on with whatever it is that you're doing. And so it was never a limitation for me. And so I see these limitations that we place on women such that even before they started the journey, you know, they would say that, what if I get married? What if I have children? I could never make it.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to sort of, you know, be a symbol for other people to be able to look up to and say, it is possible. It is possible to juggle it. It is possible to still be a woman and still achieve.
Tell us about Moaj Foundation. I know it's one foundation that you're particularly tied and passionate about, because I know it's connected to your brother. And on She Inspires today, I want you to share the inspiration behind Moaj Foundation.
So the name Moaj stands for my brother's full name, Amako Fuso-Ampadu Jr. And it is a vision born by the Fuso-Ampadu family and others of like mind to really take a stand and cause change and awareness about the perils of road safety in our society and the need to address them. I say this because my brother at 29 years had his young bright life snapped out of him on the night of 25th January 2020, just last year, in a road accident.
Were you in Ghana at the time?
Yes, I was in Ghana. It was meant to be a short visit, and maybe that's what led to me staying on. But harrowing accounts of what we heard and saw in the days after just really shocked our senses and deepened our grief as to our national response really to road safety. And it's a typical case of how institutions failed and being a possible contributor to the loss of his life. And so really what the vision is to really create awareness and with road advocacy and sort of while celebrating his life and the principles he held dear, such as community engagement, leadership, and really galvanizing support in the cubicles of leadership that matter to really sort of address these issues at the grassroots level. And so we've really been involved in sort of helping orphanages, helping the road accident ward at Kolebu. And
I've seen some pictures of you going out to do that.
And we look forward to doing the same. So we just want to entreat everybody. His mark is just the face. But anybody who's suffered similar fate or anybody who feels a passion for it, just come on board and let's sort of push for better roads. Let's push for better policies, better emergency systems, because it could be you the next time.
Systems, yes. Yeah. Let me just take you back a little. Was it a call that you received that informed you what had happened to your brother, or you came home and received the news?
So we woke up the next morning and he never came home to sleep. And we eventually were to find out.
So you were expecting him home at night, but you all had gone off to bed?
Yeah, off to bed. And we woke up and he wasn't there. So we just thought there must be a sort of an explanation.
Because that was unusual.
Yeah, unusual, yes. Unusual? Yeah, very unusual. And so we found out later that he had been involved in an accident. And what makes it worse was he was taken out and was laying on the street for about 2 hours waiting for help to come. And when he got to the hospital, there wasn't ready support for him. So I mean, when it goes down right to it, you would see that he would have lived.
Could have lived.
If the system worked. And we really don't want somebody to suffer a similar fate. Yeah. And so, yes, just to push for better road safety and awareness in our society. And so that's what it's there for. So you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. It's MOAJ Foundation. And hopefully when you hear of us doing anything, you support. And we help do this for ourselves as well.
Well, Christine, I know your father is an elder with the Church of Pentecost, so can we say you grew up in a Christian home, I mean, right from childhood and all. How would you say that has played out in becoming the woman you are? I mean, even having to go through school, I mean, studying outside the country, and this tragedy that the family was hit with.
I would say my faith is everything for me, because, like I said, it helped me to know what was possible, you know, that I could be all that God has called me to be. And I remember, I don't know where I heard this, but I remember the verse that said that, see a man that is diligent in his work, he will stand before kings.
Yes.
And my mindset really, every time I'm faced with a very difficult opportunity or something that seems insurmountable, is that I'm a daughter of a king. I stand before my King of Kings every day and I have no problems. So anytime I have a big case or any opportunity that seems to sort of kill my confidence, I remind myself of that. So that has really, really been a bedrock for me, sort of believing that everything is possible and praying and sort of, you know, being all that God has called me to be.
What made you decide to be a lecturer? I wanted to ask you that because one would say, well, she's a consultant at ICC, she could get into some big company here, you know, but you decided to go back into academia. Why that choice?
Well, I love teaching. For some reason, it's one of the things I've enjoyed doing while studying, and I thought it was the best way to really give back with all the experience and all the skills that I've marshaled whilst waiting to do the Ghana post-qualification course. So it's something I really, really enjoy, and academia is something I foresee I would be doing alongside. Yeah.
So now I know you love teaching, but what are some other hobbies, other things you love to do when, so you're not teaching law and you're not being a wife?
Yeah.
Not being a daughter. I mean, what do you do to relax? What are some hobbies that Christine enjoys, would find you doing during your free time?
Okay, I used to love to read a lot. I think I still do.
I mean, to become a lawyer, you must love to read, right? I would think so.
Except now all I read is legal stuff.
Okay.
But I love to travel. I love to travel a lot. I write poetry, actually. I have my own blog. And so I like to...
How can we check out that blog? You want to share that with us?
So it's Ekweseidua blog at wordpress.com.
Okay.
And I write on almost everything.
Almost everything.
It was really important in my grievance stage, writing poems. And I like to cook, and when I get a good sleep, I do enjoy that. Yes.
Will I be invited to one of these days? I'd love to taste the cooking of the consultants of ICC. Can you share with us what you would say are your top 3 lessons? I mean, going through life, getting to the point you are now, and even striving towards even further. What would you say are your top 3 lessons you can share with us?
Believe that you can.
Believe that you can. Wow.
Yes, believe that you can. And I hope that I'm a symbol of what is possible. And so whatever it is that you have in your mind, don't place a limitation on it. Go all out for it. Second lesson will be that failure is part of the process. Don't be afraid to fail. Do it with, put everything, strive at it with all you can, whatever it is that you want to do. When failure comes along, pick up the lessons and forge again at it. And then lastly, take advantage of opportunities that come your way. Any sort of opportunity, try and take advantage because it leads to other opportunities. And that will be my top 3 lessons.
Christine, you've been such an inspiration, and I'm so glad we've had you on She Inspires today. And I'm sure we'll catch up with you again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Because I know you want to become the UN Secretary General, so
hopefully
we'll be following you closely, and I know we'll say, you know, Christine, we had you on She Inspires before you got there. We need you back so we can talk to you more. But thank you so much for joining us on She Inspires. Thank you for staying with us on She Inspires. A big thank you to all of our sponsors: Glassell Company Limited, Hotel Kasareri, Royal Peaches Glam, Mianan Foods, Saraban Clothing, and Ajile Jewelry.